Hey, I'm Matt Hudgens, and he's Dave Mulvaney, and this is Profitability MD. Dave, how you doing today, buddy?
Great, Matt. How about you?
I'm good. We're kind of here in November, getting a little spring weather, which has been kind of nice, or nice fall weather before the winter comes. You guys had some rain in Florida.
Oh, it's nice today. I noticed you're in long sleeves, so it must be a little cool.
It's a little chilly, a little crisp in the morning, but I'm also, a little thin-skinned.
That's all right.
All right, episode 151. Change your beliefs, change your outcomes. So you and I are talking offline, so let's just make this part of the podcast. Change your beliefs and change your outcomes. And so it goes into, you're stuck in a rut. You believe your business is this is what we're doing, and this is the best that I can do. This is what we're doing, and these are all the troubles that I'm having, right? These are things that you believe. You believe you're doing your best. You believe that there's trouble finding good employees. We hear that a lot right now. But we're asking you to change your beliefs or open up your opportunities to learn something to grow your business. So you and I had two concrete examples of that. So let's start off with yours. You've been in real estate for a very long time, and I know that you hired your own a different real estate coach in a different industry, and he kind of called you out. Kind of give me the quick 1 minute, 2 minute version of that.
Well, the quick synopsis would be, I have been in real estate since 1992, mostly single family homes and smaller multifamily. When I say smaller, duplexes and triplexes. So nothing bigger. I've always wanted to get into bigger properties, but I had a belief when I say bigger properties, multifamily, large multifamily, 50 to 200 units. But I always had this belief that it took my own money to get that. And it also would take my own credit to get that. Now, as you know, I'm the king of buy real estate without your own money, without money. You don't need down payment. You don't need credit. You don't need any of that. And I've been doing that with single family homes, but I had this belief that couldn't be done in multifamily.
Yeah. And what changed it? That's what your coach asked you, right?
What changed it was a coach that told me that you don't need any of that for any type of real estate. But what kept me stuck was that I actually believed something. And by the time I wanted to change, I wanted to learn, I guess is the right thing. I wanted to learn how to break through to this. All of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness, I'm wrong. So all these years I believed something that wasn't true. And it's kind of the adage, you can't see the picture from inside the frame.
Right.
When you're in your business, a lot of times you believe things. And because you believe them, you believe they're true, and they're not true, but they're true to you because that's what you believe.
Right. And that's exactly right. So off of that goes to be, you're exactly right. Whatever that's saying, picture within the frame, the forest and the trees, the ketchup in the ketchup bottle, all that kind of stuff. You're exactly right. We kind of get stuck in these ruts and we don't realize it. And really that's the value of having a coach or even just a confidant to look at something from a different point of view, who may or may not even be in your same industry. I actually believe there's a lot of value in having somebody who's not in your industry look at things. We were talking offline. I've got a new coach for myself on my financial business. And that was, hey, what does a client review meeting look like with an existing client? And we go through this and I'm all proud of myself. And of course, I just got, a slap across the face and the thing of, do you realize you're not doing this, and this? And it wasn't that harsh, but it was in the sense of my belief was I was doing it really good. I've got 25 years experience. I know what I'm doing, right?
Well, and let's take this a step further. And I want to bring this up about you. I believe you're in like the top 3% of all people in your industry in the country, aren't you? I mean, you're
something like that. Yeah.
I mean, well, at least say the top 5%. So it's not like your belief is this belief based in nothing. I mean, you could say, hey, look what I've done. I know what I'm doing. But then this coach made you look at some things a little differently, and you realized all this time you believed something that maybe was limiting you. So you're
exactly right. So it reminds me, I've been watching a couple of Michael Jordan videos this week, right? And about how great he was, the greatest of all time, and about his belief that I could always get better. And so I forget who it was. It was his North Carolina, the assistant coach at the time, who ended up becoming the head coach. I'm not very good with names. I can't think of his name. But he was the assistant coach at Carolina, and he recruited Michael Jordan. And the interview was, we didn't know Michael Jordan was going to be Michael Jordan at the time. We knew he was a good kid. We knew he had good talent, but we did not know he was going to be who he was. He said, I distinctly remember having a conversation with Michael Jordan about coming to Carolina. And he says, I want to be the best basketball player that Carolina has ever seen. And I work hard and I work as hard as anybody else. And the coach stopped him and said, wait a minute, say that one more time. And Jordan said, well, I work as hard as everybody else. I want to be the best basketball player ever at UNC. He says, well, there's your problem right there. You can't be the best without working harder than everybody else, without doing things differently than everybody else. If you do the same as everybody else, you can't be better than them. Your talent, you must do something different. You got to work harder. You got to try something different. You got to train differently, right? You look at Tom Brady and his longevity. What is he, 43 years old, 44 years old? That guy has trained differently than any other football player, right? So it's not just weights and cardio. He's got the diet coach, and he eats healthy year round, and even some of his philosophies seem kind of wacky to the normal person. But whatever it is for him, that guy's in freaking tremendous. He throws the ball faster and harder now at 43 than he did at 23. So my point being is some of these beliefs we believe, and I'll go back to my story really quick, was like, here's my client review. I know what I'm doing. And it makes total sense to me because the forest and the trees, right? There's so much knowledge, 25 years of knowledge. But from the outsider's point of view, he said, well, what about this? Or what about that? His main point was, I have a great meeting meant for client retention, but there's no probing questions for client growth, right? Let's get really specific. I'm great at saying, Dave, I'm doing a great job. You know, we're not going to run out of money. Everything's going to be okay. But I'm not doing a great job of asking for referrals. And it's not even asking for referrals. It's more growth-oriented mindset. I'm very much focused on one aspect of the business, but not the other. And he called me out on it. He's exactly right. I should know everything about, and I do this for my clients, right? I should know everything about you and your family and your wife and your brother and sister and your wife's brother and sister and your parents. Are they still alive? And her parents, are they still alive? Do you think you'll get an inheritance? And your kids and your kids' spouses. And I use that as an example. We call that mind mapping in the financial services business. But I do that for my own clients, right? So for my own clients, I'll ask them, who is your best supplier, right? Who is your favorite business owner that's a supplier? Give me 2 or 3 of those. Who's your best business customer, right? And those are the people that we want to talk to as business coaches, as business advisors, which is, you know, who's your best other business owners that you know? People draw a blank, but they call these very specific money and motion questions in my world. But it could be you're a landscaper and you're talking to your client, and it's going to be asking about their family and their opportunities and their neighbors, right? We talk about the neighborhood strategy, right? What other your neighborhoods could benefit from a beautiful lawn like yours? That's not what we're going to say, but that's really what we're getting at. So, but you have this belief that I'm doing a great job of tending her garden, she's going to refer me naturally. And that's just not what happens.
Well, and you've mentioned this before many times. You become the product of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if you don't, I think this is important for anybody who is in business and is looking to grow. I believe that is an impossibility without a coach or mentor in your life. And
something different. Yeah. Without doing whatever you do, you can't get to the next level. What is that? There's some saying, you know, Moses brought you to the promised land, or Moses brought you to the desert, but he can't get you to the promised land. There's some saying like that. Whatever your skills were to start the business are not the skills needed to grow the business to the next level. You don't have it. You got the skills to get you to where you are. You need to learn the skills from a mentor, from a coach, from another resource.
Yeah. So when you get a coach, okay, depending on where you are, and depending on what the coach is that you're looking for, I was surprised. I saw a forum the other day where they asked, it was all coaches, and I saw a forum where the majority of them did not have a coach, and it surprised the heck out of me. I'm like, how can you be a coach without a coach? Right. And so, you know, the real estate coach that I got is worth $750 million. And so, arguably, if I'm going to change my beliefs, that's going to happen to change my outcomes. the only way to change my beliefs is to think like somebody's got $750 million and is trying to grow a business from there. That's a completely different world a person with that kind of money lives in. He's not sitting back going, man, I ought to retire. He's in acquisition mode because his goals are bigger. The reason I say that is it completely wiped out my belief system because my belief system thought I was doing pretty good. And in order to cross this threshold of beliefs, and I think that this is really, you know, mindset is a big thing. Like you mentioned Michael Jordan, but a lot of people don't talk about is Michael Jordan looked up to Julius Erving, Dr. J. And what Dr. J always said about his career was he knew that no matter what, he could outwork anyone else. And so, but in order for him to get better, he had to have coaches to sharpen his axe. It's like, look, you could be the best lumberjack, and if you don't stop to sharpen your axe, you're not going to be cutting trees effectively. I don't know if lumberjacks cut trees anymore, but the analogy is, no matter where you are in life, no matter how hard you're willing to work, no matter how hard you are willing to go after your goals and dreams, if you don't pause to have somebody with an outside influence help you look at your beliefs, and sometimes these are core beliefs.
Yeah.
A lot of Christians, I use Christians as an example. A lot of Christians think that biblically they're supposed to be poor. Well, I can't find that anywhere in the Bible. That you're supposed to be poor. I don't find that as it. But that's a core belief, and if that's a core belief, if you don't change that belief, I guarantee you're going to be poor.
Money is the root of all evil. Only. My mother used to say, only drug dealers are the ones that have all the money, right? Only crooked politicians are the ones with all the money, right? Those are kind of like your money habits. But I want to bring this down to like really concrete stuff, right? So I was working with one of my dental practices, and this goes back into protocols, into systems and processes and procedures, right? And so it was a small event, right? Dentists are type A personalities, and they like the room to be set up in a certain way, right? And so several times it wasn't done the way he wanted to be done, right? Okay. So how can we do that to make sure that it happens the way you want it to be and it's prepared before you come in there to do your dental surgery, right? And all it is, a protocol, a checklist. And he got together with his hygienist and his assistant, and actually they came up with a better way to get it done. It's basically, here's how you set up the room for, and by the way, each dentist might have their own particular setup, right? So he has an associate who might want it set up differently than the main doc, right? So what they end up having was protocols. If Dr. G has a surgery in here, this is the way he likes to set it up. And the assistant is responsible for 10 minutes before the appointment, setting up the room the way he likes it. If the associate has the room, actually that one's a she has her own kind of protocols. Here's the way she likes it set up. Her assistant is responsible for setting up the protocols and how the room. My point of being that is you might have a way of doing something right now, but my bet is you could ask your assistant, your partner, your customer, your supplier, got any ideas for improvement? Like we always talk about our 3 favorite questions. What's working? What are we doing well? What's not working? And then brainstorm ideas for improvement. You can literally do that from how to answer the phone. Go back to my dental practice. How are we answering the phone when a existing client calls in? How are we answering the phone when a prospect calls in? And we should have checklists, scripts, and protocols. And I was talking about my own coach saying I should have an agenda written out. And I'm like, I don't need an agenda. I've been doing this for 25 years. And he said an agenda allows you to control the meeting and make sure you're on pace and remind you of the little things that you need to do, that I need to do along the way. And by the way, if I'm ever going to teach a junior advisor how to do this, they need the agenda. They need a system or a process to follow. So if you are, again, I'm just using dentist today because I'm in a dentist mood. It is, how are you going to, you need procedures. How are they answering the phone? How are they greeting the patients, right? How are they walking the patient from the front desk to the chair, right? Are we getting the appointment on the way out when they walk from the chair to the checkout area, right? And all those areas are what I call an opportunity to wow the client, right? But all those areas can be improved no matter how well run your dental practice is, how well run your whatever business, your landscape business, right? There are opportunities for improvement, and you might not be able to come up with them. A coach, a mentor, again, your own employees, right? We put a program together during, this is about a year and a half ago, rough times for this business. And we had an employee suggestion box, but this time we meant it. And we actually paid them 10% of the idea, right? So how can we cut our costs? Well, I'll give you 10% of whatever you can help me cut my costs, right? How can we grow clients by 10%? I'll give you a bonus of 10% of the net profit of those new, right? Because your employees, your customers, your partner might have just a different perspective. So your beliefs, you believe you're running the best business you got, and you probably are to your abilities, but you have a limiting belief of you don't know what you don't know. We talk about this all the time, work less, make more, right? Talking to one of my friends years ago, and he's like, well, that's impossible. In order to make more, you have to work more. You got to work harder, right? And that's not true. The questions, Tony Robbins, your life can be judged by the quality of questions you ask yourself. How can I work less and make more? Oh, and by the way, and have fun doing it.
Yes.
Right? And Tony Robbins has these you got to ask the question, how can I make more, but work less so I can have time with my family, right? He talks about strategy, story, and state, right? So the strategy, how to lose weight, it's already on the internet. We can look it up. Follow a diet, whatever diet you want to do, exercise more, eat less. That's great. We know those are already out there. We got to quit telling ourselves the bad stories. I'm big boned. I got a thyroid issue. Whatever. I don't have enough time. Whatever the story is, you have a BS story of why you can't lose the weight, why you can't get in shape, why you can't be a better person than you are. So you got to change that story, that belief, that limiting belief. I don't believe that you can work less and make more. I don't believe that you can run the business any better than I'm already running it, right? No way that you can work less and make more. No way that I could squeeze an extra $100,000 out of my dental practice. No way I could cut my cost 10%. That's one of my favorite ones. One of the first things I do is we go through your credit card and bank statements line by line for like the last 3 months. And and you've said this before, if it's not helping you get a client or keep a client, you strike a line through it. We're not paying for that, right? And I swear every time we uncover 2 times, 3 times more, I can maybe find 1, 2, we're not wasting any money. Right? And it might be little things like ordering inventory that we already got. It might be a subscription service I forgot I had. It might be a data service provider that we don't really use or need anymore. Again, it might be we're ordering too much of a supply. I got long-winded there. I'm sorry. But
these are great points, because when you talk about the mindset behind the change, it starts in the little conversations. You brought up Tony Robbins. It starts in, well, I'm a little overweight. Okay. I mean, these things, or I don't have time to exercise. These are fights that I've been having. These are real things, but these are core beliefs, because when you start planting those seeds, they become beliefs. And then, so to change them, you got to find your why, certainly, but we're talking about beliefs, not necessarily goals. Your beliefs can stick you in an area that you don't even know why when I say you could be a millionaire and you want to be a billionaire, but you have these beliefs, and those beliefs will keep you a millionaire. So it doesn't always have to be like, that unsuccessful people are the only ones with limiting beliefs. Everybody has them.
We have a great point is, and I'm not going to pick on one of my good buddies, so I won't mention by names, but it's, the $1 million pie in the sky. He's always looking for the next, multi-million-dollar idea. And it's like, no, if you just do the basic blocking and tackling, right? So how many landscape architectures make a bunch of money? I don't know, but there are a bunch of them. So I know it's possible. How many dentists make $1 million? We can find out, but there are a bunch of them, right? How many, right? There are successful people doing what you're doing or what you'd like to be doing. So there's a way to do it. There's a way to improve what you're doing. If you're a dentist making $150,000 and we know there's a dentist that makes $1 million in a year, we know it can be done. And we know that there are a roadmap to get there, right? Right? That we talk about that all the time. Make more, work less, A+ activities. We talk about what you're focusing on, the 80-20, all that type of stuff. There's a way to do it. You got to stop having a limited belief that it can't be done, right? You're a lawyer and you seem to be stuck at this level. We know there are lawyers that make more money than you do. Not picking on you, just we know there's an opportunity to improve. We know that there are people that make more in real estate than you, which is what brought you to, yes.
And then okay, so like the lawyers, let's talk about, so what'll inevitably happen. This is how the conversation goes. You could say there's a lot of lawyers who make a lot more than you, and they'll say, yeah, but they're in this type of practice. Immediately, the limiting belief comes out, almost inevitably in anything. Yeah, but they're not in family law. Yeah, but my client, and I'm not going to move from attorneys. You could go to the dentist. Yeah, but I live in a small town and my clients don't have that kind of money. Yeah, but and there's all these, it's always the yeah, but. That's where you can point to the limiting belief, because your butt's getting in the way. That's really what it boils. I've heard that say your butt's in the way. That's your limit. And then it's always the yeah, but. And when we all have them, I mean, and so when you want to get to the other side of that, it's like you said, Tony Robbins. Okay, why can't I have a practice like XYZ? Why can't I have the $1 million practice? Well, that's a very empowering question, because it's going to require you to look at your practice and say, what's different? If the questions you ask will determine your outcomes, for sure. Questions you ask. Yeah.
Well, great example. We're talking about, I had this conversation recently with one of my clients, and it's, I want to own a lake house. All right. Can I afford a lake house? And
I got one for sale and I'm just kidding. I do have a lake.
But the better question is more like Tony Robbins. How can I buy a lake house? Let's give it a positive twist. How can I afford to buy a lake house? How can I buy a lake house with the least amount of money down? Right. And so then you start going through that where we're going to buy the lake house, but we're going to put it in a rental program. And okay, where's the money for the down payment? It's going to come from I got a big work project that's coming, or I'm going to borrow money from my home equity. I'm not telling you what the specifics are, but the question needs to be, how can I afford a lake house? Well, you might not be able to afford this, but if you put it in the rental program, you can. How can I afford the down payment? Well, you don't have the cash, but if a big project at work, then you would have it. Or if you borrowed money from another project of yours, you might have it, right? But you got to ask the right question. How can it be done? Not that I got all my friends, I own lake houses, and I can't afford a lake house.
Yeah,
right? And you'll never have a lake house.
And it's perspective. I mean, when you take the perspective of, perspective is also the questions you ask yourself, because we think these challenges are. I was listening to. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right now. I'd have to go into my phone. Nate, I'll think of his last name here in a minute. But this guy went to prison twice for being a drug dealer. He's worth $100 million, $100 million real estate investor right now. And, but he went to prison twice, has 4 felonies for drug dealing. And when people are like, well, how did you make this transition? And his example was, look, if you're sleeping on the concrete and somebody hands you a blanket the next night, and people say, how do you sleep on concrete? He's like, dude, I got a blanket. I'm fine. See, when your perspective is such that his life, when he came out of prison, he was like, I don't want to go back there anymore. He changed his beliefs in that I have to be a drug dealer to make a living. He changed that belief into what can I do to make a living, not drugs. And he went into real estate, first construction, and then he started buying more projects. But the point is, he changed his beliefs. He no longer believed he had to deal drugs, and now he's wealthy in something else. And so you can change your outcome by changing what you believe is law. We believe things that aren't true all the time, and it keeps us stuck.
That was a great example that talked about things that happened to you when you're a kid and might affect your limiting beliefs, right? But it's not, big dogs are mean because maybe when you were 3, a big dog knocked you over. Maybe he didn't even attack you, he just knocked you over. So you've been scared of big dogs ever since. But we know that some of those bigger dogs are really nice, right? I can't think of the breed, but I'm picturing anyway.
Great Dane.
The Great Danes, what I'm trying to say, right. And they're really sweet dogs. My point being is you might have a belief that I'm running the business the best way I can, right? I love it. I will challenge you right now that I bet if you went through your expenses, you can cut whatever number, 5%, 10%. How do we do it? We go through your expenses the last 3 months, red pen, you get credit cards in your bank statement. If it doesn't bring me a client or help me keep a client, it should get rid of it, right? And you'll uncover stuff that you didn't even know. But your belief was, hey, well, I run a pretty lean shop, right? I believe we do a great job of wowing our customers. Remember, I always talk about the parallel. You can be the Lexus dealer of oil changes or the Jiffy Lube of oil changes, right? Invariably, there's something you could do in your practice to make it better, to make it more wow experience. But you have the belief, you're not even going to look at it right now. You don't know what you don't know because you think you're running, my practice is great. My landscape business is great, right? How can I work less and make more? You may not even have explored that as a belief that you have. That, gosh, could be holding you back. In order to make more money, I feel like I got to work more hours. And I don't want to work more hours because I want to spend time with my kids and go to their sporting events. So the better question is, how can I make more money yet still go to my kids' sporting events, right? What can we do? What are the beliefs? I love it. Your butts are getting in the way, right? Yeah, but.
We could have named it "Your butt's getting in the way," but yeah. So limiting beliefs are but they're real. When I say they're real, totally they become real obstacles, and the more anchored they are in what you believe is reality, the more they turn out the exact result of your belief. Yeah. It's often the reason people never break the $1 million mark. It's because they believe that's an achievement. I'm going to be, I want to break $1 million in sales, or I want to break $1 million in profit, and they never break the mark because it's a mind block. And it's based in the beliefs. And
that's the great thing. What was that? I mean, the story that's forever old. The 4-minute mile. Nobody can break a 4-minute mile. Then I can't remember the guy who broke the 4-minute mile.
Bannister.
Bannister?
Bannister, I think it was. Yeah.
And I think it was like 8 or 9 people beat it at the 4-minute mile in the next year.
Yeah.
It was like, it can be done, right?
It can be done. Doctors even told people they would die if they broke it.
Impossible. Right, physically impossible to do.
And so here we are. That's the thing. There are doctors, who can tell you that, you can't do that physically. You can't climb Mount Everest. You can't. So many you can't. And if you believe what they say, this is where I think peer group is very important. You got to watch what goes into your mind, and that's why we recommend you have a coach. You become part of a mastermind. Those are the things that can change your life. If you like hanging out with the friends you have, join a mastermind, and it can help change the way you think, and you'll create a new group of friends that can change some of your core beliefs.
Yeah. So I would say, as it come down to winding up, let's give it some action items, right? So I already gave you the example of, I bet you could reduce the costs in your business, right? Go through your credit card statements, your bank statements. I bet you'll find some stuff that doesn't get you a client or keep a client. All right. So there's a limiting belief. You might think you run a pretty lean shop. Another limiting belief would be, hey, let's figure out how to take Friday off. I always start with clients how to take a Wednesday off, right? What has to be done so you can take next Wednesday off, right? Well, I can never do that. Well, I know you can't, but if you could, what would have to be done in order to take Wednesday off, right? And the point of that project is to reduce that limiting belief. And you want to make all your kids' sporting events, right? You got to figure out how I can make the 4 o'clock soccer game, the 4 o'clock softball game. I was with one of my guys yesterday, and he has 3 daughters playing travel softball. So goodness, that's a busy schedule. How am I there for all the kids, games? How am I there for all the kids' practice, or at least the pickup or drop off? Well, let's back into that. What would have to happen for you to leave the office at 4 o'clock to get there? How can you maintain the profitability by leaving at 4 o'clock, right? What has to happen? These are the questions that you probably have a limiting belief on. You don't believe that you can leave the office at 4 and still make more money. You don't believe that you can take Wednesday off, right? You got to change those beliefs, right? And so those are your action items. Let's find something you think is, I can't reduce my expenses. I challenge you to try. Can't take Friday off. I challenge you to try to figure out how. You can't work less and make more. Again, let's just start off by taking a Wednesday off, right? And all we're trying to do is your limiting beliefs are holding you back. Your beliefs, what does that say? You get as far as you think you can, or whether you're right or wrong, you're right? Whatever you think you can do or don't think you can do, you're right.
Right.
One thing. So that's fun. Your limiting beliefs, not like, you change your beliefs and you change your outcome. I believed I was doing a great job. I can improve my own processes. You believed that real estate, you could do the onesie twosies, but you couldn't do now we found a mentor that can get you to the next level and do the multi-unit property units with other people's money and a team of people to work with. So those are your beliefs. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, right? And this is the stuff that we do in our mastermind group. I'll bring this full circle to us. This is what we do in our coaching program. The idea is you're hanging out with smart people who have done this, who have been through this, and can help challenge you and help you get rid of your limiting beliefs or changing your beliefs because they'll have done it. They'll have seen it. They'll have done it before. So that's what our group coaching is about. We talk about our irresistible offer is find any business owner $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 without spending $1 more in advertising and marketing. Profit acceleration session. Call us, email us about that. That's a limiting belief. You guys don't even believe that we can really do that, right? So shame on you. Just show yourself that that's a limiting belief. Well, I don't believe that's really even possible. Give us a chance. What's the downside for you? Really not much. So we got our profit acceleration session. We got our group coaching program. Profitability MD is our podcast, our YouTube channel, Profitability MD. Then we got our website, profitabilitymd.com, which is this podcast. Matt at profitabilitymd.com, Dave at profitabilitymd.com. So you've got some sort of changing your beliefs in order to change the results, right? How do you do that? We like hiring a coach or a mentor or somebody else successful. It's really hard to do it on your own because you don't know what you don't know, right? So change your beliefs, change your outcomes. Change your beliefs, change your business. Change your belief, change your life.
Yeah. Last thing is change the questions you ask yourself, and you'll also change your beliefs and you'll change your outcomes.
I love it. Good one, buddy.
Talk soon. Take care.